Hello everyone, how you doing? Hope you're having a great day so far. I had a very busy week helping out with Lovebyte Battlegrounds edition. I was sort of hosting, sort of commentating, sort of doing a little bit of everything. The main organization was by Super Rogue. Havoc did most of the streaming duty, all of the streaming duty. Genio helped with some audio stuff. I helped with some hosting. Oki was also involved in some stuff. Flopin also helped commentating on a few matches, and we had a lovely weekend with some demo scene stuff, doing demos and intros and music and events for the TIC 80 and the Pico 8, which was really cool. Say it was pretty much a week preparing different things. We pre-recorded some of the matches for the Byte battles. We also recorded some of the commentaries for that first day. So Saturday wasn't that busy for me directly. Sunday was a lot more hands-on. I had pretty much all of the day, had to wake up earlier than usual, had to balance being with the kid and being online to do stuff. Somehow managed to fit it in I'm still not quite sure how, but it turned out pretty okay, pretty smooth overall. I missed some of the compos because of that, but overall it was a really cool weekend. Stuff that I wanted to mention, I think the overall the event went really well, better than the original Lovebyte and an outline went in terms of being the same team doing. I think it went a lot smoother, having less compos, less ambitious of a schedule helps in that regard as well. So I think it helped out a bit more and wasn't as tiresome for them as well. So that went really cool. I'm really happy with that. No major delays, no major fuck-ups, some issue with the audio and OBS Ninja, which we still didn't quite figure out. Some people complained that they didn't understand some reruns were reruns, but that was like pretty much looking at the schedule, because the schedule was, we pretty much followed the schedule. So no major delays in that regard. The compos were very nice on themselves as well, considering it's for a very niche section of the demo scene, fantasy consoles. We had a lot of good entries, mostly focused on the TIC 80, not that much Pico 8 as we were expecting, but well, you know, can't force people to contribute. Had a cool graphics compo, a lot of good releases, a lot of stuff by Critical and Jade of very high quality. Yeah. We also had some tiny intro competitions, 128 bytes and 256 bytes, with a lot of nice releases as well. I did an entry for both of these compos. I'm happy with my 128 bytes entry. That was pretty cool. I had an idea and it ended up being different, but better than what I was expecting to do. But still really hard to crunch down, because the further down you go, the less you can rely on the packer. So that was fun. That was a fun evening to do that one. And the 256 bytes, I did like a rehash of the Matrix effect, because the fourth movie of the franchise is coming up on December. So I did a rehash of that in 256 bytes. Wish I could have included music, didn't quite manage to fit or find something that would make it work. Ended up investing those extra bytes on having a more spot on palette with some white highlights when the colors are when the letters are flickering. I think that worked out pretty well as well. So I'm happy about those entries. They didn't place very high, but I wasn't expecting them to either, so I'm happy with that. A lot of entries by other people were really cool. I think my favorite from the 256 byte was the one from Yobe, the transmission one. This is not a broadcast. I think it's the official name. I think that one should have won. Cthulhu in 128 bytes from Pestis was also very good. Gnex had a ton of different entries for 256 byte compo, which were also all pretty decent. Yeah, so two very good compos overall. And I hope I can see a lot of these people participate at the next demo party, because that's we're gonna try to promote a little bit of TIC 80 there. We already have a tiny size intro compo, 256 bytes, and in my head I fantasize that the real limit that we should be aiming for should be 512 bytes. And let me explain to you why summarily. Because in 256 bytes, even though you already have the packer, you kind of have to do like an effect, and then you have to decide either you do music or you try to do some fancy palette changes to slightly improve the colors a little bit, and you kind of don't have room to do like a full proper effect. You can still do a lot with it, but it always feels like if you had a little more room, you could do something a lot more impactful, or something that has like a multi-parts kind of thing. And whenever we see a multi-part effect on the TIC 80, on the TIC 80 256 bytes, it always seems it's like a slightly different variation of the same effect. So yeah, I think 512 would be a more interesting limit to aim for, but and I'm going to try to plug it for some people for inertia. Let's see if they want to go up for the challenge or not. If you have any thoughts about this thing in particular, please let me know in the comments. It would be cool to get a discussion going around that. Other stuff that happened related to Lovebyte Battlegrounds. Demo Compo is also pretty good. I wasn't expecting much from Demo Compo because I knew people didn't really had much time. So I was expecting maybe 2-3 entries. We ended up with 5, I believe. My favorite one was the Matte Current one, which like a glitch dark vibe to it. I think it drew a lot of inspiration from some Spectrum groups. At least it reminded me a lot of stuff by Screw You and CPU on the Spectrum. But yeah, I really enjoyed it. I think it was very, very nice demo, and I have to see it again to really understand the full deepness of the words that Yobe wrote down in there. I think there's a lot of stuff that I didn't fully absorb. Speaking about Yobe, Genio did a concert for Lovebyte, and one of the highlights was doing the cover for Rock for Metal, which is a demo also made by Yobe, which is something that I very much want to try doing some vocals for. I'm sure it will suck because I'm tone deaf. Let's just leave it at that. But I do have the heart. I have the heart of a rock and roll star, and I know that I can give the lyrics the right feeling and emotion and epicness that they deserve, and maybe I'll be in tune, and work, I don't know, or so I want to give it a go. And Gino does have an instrumental version that he shared, so one of these days I'm gonna put my rock and metal gear on, and which is gonna be to put my Nike shoes on, and I'm gonna try to record those vocals and see how it turns out, if it's horrible or just terrible. As long as I have fun, that's what matters. So yeah, stay tuned for that. It's on my to-do list. Eventually I'll get to it. But I really enjoyed the cover that he did, and he did like a little video sketch. I helped him get photos of different Jumalauta members doing the devil's horn signs, which was also cool to include. And I hope Joby enjoyed the tribute that we did for him, and it's a kick-ass demo. He deserves all the tribute that he can get for making that. And of course, the highlight of Lovebyte Battlegrounds were the byte battles themselves. Had a lot of matches. The keywords were a bit on and off. Some people liked it, some people didn't. I'm a bit divided on that. I think it brings a different dynamic in that you have to improvise, but at the same time it can be really hard. But it's cool to distinguish from the coders who like prepare everything. Not that I think any of these 16 coders that participated at Lovebyte Battlegrounds are those kind of people who would just prepare everything and, you know, copy paste the effect that they had previously prepared. But when you add these kind of random element, it makes preparation a lot harder. You just need to, you know, prepare globally and then at the moment you need to be inspired and get like a click and implement it and make sure that it works well. And some people struggled with that, which was cool and bad to see at the same time. I had a lot of fun commentating with Oki. There were some controversies about the keyword, which we had to navigate around with. We ended up saying that it's okay, it's optional, but people should vote accordingly to what they think it's best. In my humble opinion, I think the coders should be trying to follow the theme, and I ended up not voting for the Byte battles because I didn't have time with all the confusion and kid and schedules and that stuff. But it felt like I would have given more votes to people who would have stuck with the theme. And I think overall, the voting results confirmed that. A lot of the people who failed to follow the theme were punished and didn't make it all the way to the final. At the same time, me as a commentator, especially in the final, I was already drinking my beer and got a little tipsy, and we can get a bit pedantic, for lack of a better word, on how on theme it is, and we always tried throughout the different battles to, caution each other. Me caution now Oki, and Oki cautioning me that we should, it is 256 bytes, and it's hard to implement this kind of thing regardless of what it is. So, cut them some slack and make sure that the audience knows that regardless of the opinions that we transpire as commentators, they should vote following their own feelings and not pay attention to us, because at the end of the day, we're there trying to entertain a little bit, and we end up making fun. Well, me more than Oki. Oki's a bit more respectful than I am in that regard. We end up making a little bit of fun, but it's making fun with the coder, not making fun of the coder, or at least that's what I try to transmit. And I know that it might not come across as that sometimes. I'm a bit weary that some people might, take offense of that, or think that I'm like having a swing at the coder because I don't like them or whatever. And it's usually not about that. It's usually about, trying to keep things entertaining and trying to, sometimes trying to make myself the villain so that Oki can bash me and keep things a little bit more entertaining, which is an art that, I didn't get any classes for this kind of stuff. It's something that I've been developing through the feelings that I have of what works better, what people respond to more, and it feels like it's a welcome thing, but you need to tread carefully not to go into the insulting territory. The same way that when I was casting stuff about shader coding, and there always were like French people, and I always ended up making fun of their accent and the fromage, and I started realizing, well, some of them told me specifically that I need to stop with that, even if they take it in good terms, as a joke, it can still feel somewhat offensive. So I need to be careful with that and make sure that when I'm saying it, that it's clear to everyone that is listening that I mean it as a joke and not as, an offensive thing, which can sometimes ruin the joke when you do that. It depends what kind of character you're trying to do. I try just to be myself, not really have a character, but there are multiple versions of me, and I like to experiment with accents as well and pretend that I'm other people sometime. So yeah, that's something that I've been learning, and I know that I'm not perfect yet, and I'm still working on that, and I hope that people haven't taken anything offensively that I've been saying, and if they have, I apologize. And yeah, I'm just take it one cast at a time and do what feels right, and try to remember the lessons learned from the previous things that I did, and try to accumulate that knowledge into something that can get the conversation going, and at the same time be funny and try to be respectful at the same time, which is hard. And I get a lot more respect for a lot of esports hosts and commentators, which I used to see and just felt like boring. And as you cast and as you host more of these things, you start to get a more feeling for, first, a lot more respect over how hard it is to do multiple things at the same time, and also concentrate on, just concentrate on what you're saying to the camera to make sense of the whole thing without like choking or doing a lot of pauses and that kind of stuff, keeping the rhythm going without it being boring in some way. If you're starting to have a boring speech, you need to like cut it with something funny to make sure it makes, but don't not make it forced as well. At the same time, you need to be paying attention to the chat, what people are saying, to respond, maybe not respond if it's something toxic. Not let it transpire at the same time. A lot of things, you need to juggle a lot of things at the same time, and have a lot of things in your head at the same time as well about what you are casting as well. If it's a game, you need to know all the things of the game and how to make people think about what is currently happening, not just, say what is happening, but engage into a conversation about it. Like, what would you do now? Where do you think they are going? And use those key points as leverage to, engage into discussion. Either inner discussion with yourself and have to find something interesting to say, or to get into a discussion with whoever else is commentating that they, have the knowledge but don't really know when is the right time to say those things. So you can push or pull those things out of them if you ask the right question at the right time. And it's a process that I've been learning throughout the last 6-7 years that I've been casting and hosting different kind of things, both for games and demo scene and online events. So something that I still do, and I'm happy with my evolution, and I hope to do more of. Anyways, that's it for this vlog. I don't know how the hell we ended up talking about casting instead of Lovebyte Battlegrounds, but this was just supposed to be about Lovebyte Battlegrounds Aftermath. So yeah, cool event. Happy that I helped organize it. It did take a bit of my to-do list stuff. If you enjoyed the work that I did to support Lovebyte Battlegrounds, please consider supporting me through patreon.com/psenough, which is the platform I use to monetize the content creation that I've been doing, and like to share with other projects that I feel interesting, as was the Lovebyte Battlegrounds. So yeah, see you next video. Bye bye everyone, take care.